Did you know there is an app to measure happiness? I remember like the mood rings. Remember mood rings? They still have mood rings. I was just traveling recently and I saw mood rings, as you all know, and I was in San Diego. I saw mood rings somewhere in San Diego. Pretty crazy. So I thought all of you in the nooks and crannies across America would love this. Our guest is Ray White, and he has created an app that can measure your level of happiness. How about that? Ray, thanks for coming on America Tonight.
Sure, Kate. And hopefully it's a little more scientific than the mood ring.
So let's roll this back. How do you create an app that can measure happiness and can actually pinpoint what your stressors are throughout the day?
Part of measuring happiness is the fact that it changes throughout the day, and it changes even over different weeks and as different things happen. So what we do is ask people on a regular basis how happy they are, and then ask them to talk about what's making them happy or what's making them sad. And then we also add to that a little reminder to help them be happier, something they can do that will make them a little happier during the day.
So when you say something they can do to make them a little happier, like what would that be?
Well, we might tell them things like work on being somebody's friend today, or email a Starbucks card to somebody you like, or tell your spouse that you love them. Just little reminders that will that we know scientifically will make them happier if they implement them.
So it's interesting you say that, because one of my mentors used to tell me a long time ago, you got to give to get, but it's not even about the getting. There is something about the power of giving, because that's what you said there, being friends with somebody, emailing a Starbucks card, that kind of thing. That's really giving it to somebody else, and that does correlate to happiness, doesn't it?
Absolutely. That's what the science shows, is that giving really is better than receiving. It actually activates different chemicals in our brain, and it makes us feel differently than receiving does. So giving it's all about happiness.
What's the reaction so far? Did the people around you think it was pretty cool that you created this app?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very excited about it. And one of the things we have on the app as well is the ability to share smiles. So share your smile with somebody else. We're giving people lots of opportunities to track their happiness, to go back and see their happiness history, and to get reminders, and then also to share that with other people. So people like it. I get a lot of good comments.
Very cool. So the Happiness app, before the Happiness app, you actually wrote a book called Connecting Happiness and Success. And this is part of what you do, and this is the research and what you're talking about here. What did you find? You mentioned some of it already. What have you mostly found that keeps happening over and over again, sometimes in big corporations and medium-sized businesses or whatever? Is there a correlation between people feeling happy and being more productive?
Absolutely. If you look at our economy today, it's not based on what people do with their hands. It's more based on what they do with their mind. And because we're managing their minds and their brains, and we want them engaged and excited, and we want them thinking good things for the company, then happier people are going to be more productive, and they're going to do a better job. If they're miserable or unhappy or they're worried about something, then they're not going to be able to use their minds or be as engaged as we'd like them to be. I work in the corporate world, and part of what I've been trying to do is teach people how to be happier and how to, instead of chasing success every day and skipping over happiness and forgetting about happiness, how to just each day find a way to be a little bit happier so that you'll be more productive and so that you'll basically have a better day and be more successful.
Do you find, going along with what we said before, Ray, that when you stop chasing it, it then eventually comes to you, success?
Yeah, that's exactly right. People are always chasing success, and so they're not doing the things they need to do. Like, one of the things that really makes us happier is having good, positive relationships. And a lot of times we'll skip our relationships to be more successful. We'll skip dinner with friends or dinner with family. We won't go to that basketball game that maybe we should. And not only does that help you be happier when you spend that time with people, but it also connects you at work. It gives you more connections when you have to do projects together, when you have to work on a team. So those connections and those relationships are positive, not just for your happiness, but for your success at work.
What do you do? Some people will complain if you do surveys, and you know this since you work in this business. How do you deal with a boss that just is miserable, that is so tough to work with, is so negative, such a taskmaster? How do you deal with this? Because that's what some people, I'm sure, say to you. Well, gee, Ray, that's a great thing. I wish I could be part of a team and be happy and go out to lunch and connect with other people, but I have this awful boss. What do you do to turn that around?
Sure. So one of the keys to happiness is actually taking control of your life and not being a victim of everybody else. And so your boss can be a jerk and do all those things, but that doesn't have to stop you from being happier. That doesn't have to stop you from doing the best job you can. And also understanding that your boss is a jerk because he's a human and he's got some kinds of challenges of his own. So if you get to know him as a person and treat him as a human and figure out what you can learn from him instead of what you don't like about him, then you'll be happier. So don't blame it on your boss. Take responsibility and find a way to be happy anyway.
Yeah. Do you find that, are you seeing that the needle is moving more in the direction that you're trying to get it to move in, to people recognizing they control their circumstances, or are people still really struggling with that? Because that's changing your mind. That's really a big shift, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it is. And one of the things I'm finding is that the older generations have a tougher time with it because they really don't expect to be happy. They come to work, they expect to work, and they go home and hope they'll be happy at home. But the younger generations, the 30 and under, the millennials, they expect to be happy. They expect to come to work and be happy. And so they are looking for ways to be happy. I had a millennial tell me just yesterday that she opened the door for somebody and it made her feel good, an older lady, and made her smile and that kind of thing. I had another person tell me that they compliment 3 people a day, and that makes them feel better. And so the younger generations get this and they understand it and they're working to be happy. They don't always know exactly how to do it, but they're heading in that direction and doing the things they need to do.
It's interesting. Is you said older, so younger? Does it feel like, even though the millennials, are having a hard time sometimes with great education and everything else, finding a job, but are they just leaning toward more positivity than older people?
Yeah, I think they are. I think that they see their role in the world as being bigger rather than just helping themselves in their careers. They're looking more at how can they help the world and the people around them. And the science shows that's one of the ways that people are happier. Don't get me wrong, they still struggle and they still have their challenges and they still have a lot to learn. But compared to the baby boomer generation, who was really not focused on happiness, they do a better job.
In your book, you talk about this, and it's worth mentioning this. What are tell us your definition of success. You have 4 different things that you list as a way, or 3 concepts that you teach to leverage happiness to be successful. What is it?
Sure. Once you are doing the right things to be happy, then to be successful, you have to be clear on how you define success. When I say you, it's not how your mom defines success or how society defines success. It's how you define success. And then once you know how you define success, you need to know what steps it takes to get there. So, you have to know if you need to work harder at work to get a promotion, or if you need to get a certain project done, or if you need to work more with the homeless. So you need to know what your definition of success is and what the steps are to get there. And then most importantly, you have to practice that every day. Every day when you get up, you have to do something to be successful. You have to feel successful each day, just like you have to feel happy each day. What you can't do is wait a month or a year and then say, well, I'll be successful once I get a promotion. I'll be successful once I get that raise. You have to do it every single day. And by doing it every single day, that will lead to the raises and the promotions and that kind of thing. And that's the mistake most people make. They keep waiting on success and they keep waiting on happiness and thinking it'll come someday. It's always over the horizon.
Yeah, and that may be one of the biggest hurdles, isn't it? That you can't. It's like dieting. It's like anything. If you keep saying, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll wait till next year, and wait till this all falls into place. Life isn't about planning, right? Because when you make plans, something else happens in between.
That's exactly right. If you're not successful and happy today, you're not going to be successful and happy. So you need to find a way each day to work on being successful and happy.
Yeah, interesting stuff. I love the idea of this app. And tell everybody, the app is free, right? How can they get it?
Yeah, so you can download the app either on Android or iPhone and search for My Happiness, one word, M-Y Happiness. You can download the app and get started on it, share smiles with people, rate your happiness, check your history, all kinds of things.
I love it. Ray White, good luck with all of that. Check it out. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, thanks, Kate.